He was losing his ability to speak prior to us finding the cannabis medicine. He's been diagnosed ASD, autism spectrum disorder. Prior to discovering the Lennox-Gastaut, as soon as the seizures really started, it seemed to me like he was just developmentally frozen in time. How are your eyes? Can I see? How you doing? You all right? You got pizza sauce on your face. Families are put in a position to where their only hope is something that is being prohibited to them. And right now, medical cannabis is one of the only hopes for several conditions. Silas doesn't have just one type of seizure. We've documented 10 different types of seizures. He typically has about 5 on average. He was having about 200 clusters of seizures. So I just averaged that at about 5 seizures in those clusters, but in reality, it's anywhere from 5 to 15 seizures. And we were literally watching him seize to death. We were watching it in front of us. We were having to come to terms that nothing could stop this. And so he was just doing this wide, just walking around the living room and the kitchen. Silas, you know, do you hear me? Are you okay? And he was looking right through me. And I had no doubt something was wrong. He started like smacking his lips and he was completely gone. Like there was no getting his attention.
First, there was the sound, this sort of guttural sound. It wasn't a sound that he normally makes. It was a sound that, as a mom, you realize your kid's in trouble. So you go running into the room, and he's on the couch having a seizure, and it's getting worse quickly. You see him start to convulse. You see his whole body freeze up. You see his foam coming out of his mouth. And you see his eyes looking up and to the side. And he's not there. And he's starting to turn blue.
You know, and I just said, I think Silas just had a seizure. We didn't know what to do. We took him to the doctor, and it progressed really quick. It was a matter of weeks, not months, when he had his next one. It was a matter of months, not years, when he was having them every day. So when I said 200 a month, it was 200 clusters of seizures. What I was calling one seizure, most of the time was 7, 8, 9, 10 seizures. It's the Medihaze that we use the most, but this is what we're trying for the rotating strain right now.
You did a good job today. Well, you played well with your friends. You were nice to your sister.
17, 18, 19, 20. Again.
This will pull the rope and it will make you explode.
He's found a comfort level here with the kids and the staff that has,
Hi, Josie.
it's been a really wonderful thing to watch.
What are you doing?
Him find that
Go,
comfort
pull.
zone. He's great about taking his medication, which is fantastic. Kids are often resistant about medicine. He has some amount of awareness of how it helps him.
Luckily, we started working with a grassroots solution, amazing collective here. Very first day that we used that Medihaze was the first day that he didn't have a seizure in 3 years. He went 4 months before he had another seizure. But that science happened because of families like ours on the front line.
Forrest, when I first met him, he was willing to do anything. You know, just looking for something that would help his son.
I had this mixed feeling, and I don't know what his motives really are. If he's being put out there as the front person to try to help the industry expand what they're doing is one aspect. But if he's doing it because he cares about his son, my heart goes out to him. I guess if I were in his position, I'd probably want to do the same thing. I want to protect my child. I want to do what's best for my child. But there's a bigger picture here. And we talked about it with the board. You can't make exceptions because where do you draw the line?
Well, if we carve out an exception for Silas, then all these people with all these other conditions are going to want their marijuana too. Well, hello, that's what it was designed for. I mean, the word medical precedes marijuana in every ordinance, in every action that is taken. That is the only thing that's legal right now.
Make an exception for one child, or two children, or three here that are in Nevada County. What stops somebody in Los Angeles saying, you know, my child down here has this too, and I get a recommendation, and I bring it back, and I then start growing. Again, justifying my cultivation. But in the big picture, we have to protect the whole community. We're in a position where we can't make exemptions because it opens Pandora's box.
We were raided. The sheriff's department came in and destroyed all of our research facility that I had here, as well as all of our genetics, as well as all of our testing materials, as well as eliminated medicine.
It's truly heartbreaking when you sit down and realize the amount of effort and the amount of work that was put in to developing what I call the Willy Wonka golden ticket for this child. There are 17,000 varieties of cannabis, and this is the only one that we were able to find that was truly working for him.
When he gets the different strains of medication, it helps to control it, and when they run into these legal barriers, you can see it within him within 24 hours, and you can see his level of pain increase, lack of focus, and significant heightened seizure activity.
Silas has been the toughest one we've ever had to deal with, however. We think we find something that works, and it'll work for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months, 4 months, and then it stops, or it slowly stops working. And then we have to try something new.
Our focus is going to be on resolving the nuisance complaints and then being preemptive in some of these large gardens because we want to stop the problem, the complaints, before they start impacting neighborhoods. And you got to remember, a lot of our community, they're afraid to make complaints because of the fear of retribution.
Problems are people that move into county, have no ties to the community, have no stake in our well-being or our comfort levels. They put big grows in small areas, but the sheriff has the tools to eradicate them. And I don't think you should punish patients for the bad acts of other people.
People think, oh, they give their kid this, they must use it themselves, or they must, be, hippies, or I don't know, whatever the word would be. But we're just regular people trying to help our kid heal.
Product CBD medicines. And I make this point important because one of the things you'll hear when my family's brought up is, they can go to a dispensary, they're fine. So I want everyone to know that we did that for a year. A 12 milliliter bottle of high CBD oil dispensary is about $320. Okay? He would go through that, 2 of those in about 10 days. Adults, grown adults, think that weed is weed. And it's just, why can't you just go to another county and get that weed? And it's not there. It doesn't exist. There's just not a lot of Medihaze out there. This is what the Board of Supervisors doesn't understand. There's not a commercial demand. Their lack of understanding is so great that they just think cannabis is one thing.
We live it every day. We live with the possibility that every day could be the last day, or it could be the day, one day maybe, that the seizures stop and we have a chance at a normal life.